Hello, this is Michael Riley. ABA Appliance. I wanted to show you an example of probably some people have listened to my videos and seen my videos. Are like, why is he so irritated with? I'm an easygoing person until I see stupidity. I can't stand it. And there's so much going on out here. So many years of cleaning up after other techs that don't know what they're doing, and it's not all of you. There's a lot of good techs out there. I've talked to you. I've met you. You know, I was a national trainer for a corporation for several years, all over the United States, starting up service centers, meeting techs. And there's good and bad in every business. But we got guys that don't want to do things right. I just don't understand it. This example here is, it's not the worst I've ever seen, but it just shows there's no training whatsoever in this person. His name's Chris. Colorado Springs. I was in San Diego for 30 years, and I'm supplying, I put together about 13 years ago, restoration kits for Sub-Zero refrigerators and freezers so that the customers could finally start to keep their product, because Sub-Zero is trying to force new sales. They've been doing it for quite a few years, and it started to get worse about the same time they yanked out all the service agreements and parts distributor agreements from service companies and parts distributors worldwide, saying that we were all ripping off the customers. And we'll go read the reviews right now, and you see the customers are saying that's what Sub-Zero's doing. It's not my claim, it's what the customers are saying. Just go online and read the reviews. So I started supplying, I put together restoration kits, complete evaporator, compressor, heat exchanger, dryer, that's sealed system restoration, and then a complete restoration for these 20, 30-year-old units that Sub-Zero goes in there and says, oh no, you can't fix it, you have to buy a new one. Yes, you can fix it, customers. So don't believe that garbage. It's just total lies. They're just trying to force new sales to get you to buy an $18,000 new unit that's not the same size, and you gotta remodel your cabinets too. So it's not just the cost of the unit. You might have 5,000, 10,000, even more, and when you start getting into the cabinet remodeling, it sometimes gets out of control. You might have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 by the time you're done. Getting things to match, and it's just not the same. It's wood. So these restoration kits, customers are contacting, and I have a long conversation with them. Sometimes they get impatient, but I'm just like, service companies out here, they don't want to do the job. Too many of them. It's a good paying job. It's a good, 4, 6, not 4, it's going to be more than 4 hours. 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, depending on whether you run into trouble. So it's a good day's job. You got to pull a unit out of the wall, which is really not a big deal. They move really easily once you get them out. It's just getting them up onto the floor, because they're usually recessed about a half an inch or whatever, because the floor is built up. Once you get them up onto the floor, it then just slides right out onto a protective barrier between the floor and the refrigerator. Cardboard works really well, thick cardboard, because it slides real easy on it. And it cushions, and so it won't scratch the floor, as long as there's nothing under the cardboard. So, in this case, this gentleman in Colorado Springs got a hold of me, bought the restoration kit, and worked to find a company, and actually he found a company, The company wouldn't talk to me, and this is the problem. This has really started to identify itself that if the service company or tech won't talk to me, I manufacture evaporators. I'm actually a manufacturer and also a service company, 40 plus years. But if the tech won't talk to me, because evaporators that I'm manufacturing for a lot of these older units, they're no longer available. So I need to give them special instructions on using heat paste, absorption paste that you use in heating HVAC or any commercial even, to protect other controls that are next to it so that they don't get too hot and damage the control inside. Because there might be plastic or rubber or O-rings or whatever, functional parts inside. And if they get too hot, they're going to melt them and damage and ruin it. So HVAC guys are in commercial are really familiar with the heat absorption paste. They have to use it. But domestic refrigerator repair, sealed system repair, these guys, they got it easy. They don't have to use that kind of stuff because it's a capillary system. There's no expansion valves that you have to worry about, any of that kind of stuff. So when you suggest it to them, they don't want to use it. It's like $30, but they don't want to use it. I mean, it's really unbelievable. So this company, the guy gets a hold of me after the fact because they won't talk to me. Oh, we know what we're doing. I finally did get him to talk to me after they screwed everything up. They leave and it cools for a little bit and then it stops cooling. I mean, within a day. Most techs already know what very, very possibly a leak. Well, that's what it was. But then I started getting pictures and stuff from the customer, and I was like, just shaking my head, going, "Oh my God, are you kidding?" They came back and they started this. They charged him $960 to do replace these components. Doesn't work. The next day it doesn't work. They come back and they're not in a good mood. And most techs, they hate that when you get a call back, but it's just the reality. Things happen sometimes. But you don't take it out on the customer. So they're telling him that the evaporator's got pinhole leaks in it, and it's the wrong metal. It's supposed to be. They're telling him all this garbage, and it's just uninformed, uneducated garbage. They don't know what they're talking about. So you're going to see here an example of, and anybody that knows me, and if you see my videos on YouTube, you know that I harp about not using oxyacetylene. This is an example right here. You're going to see it. Why I say stay away from it. It's a cutting torch. It's to cut steel. Guys use it on HVAC and commercial because the lines are much bigger, a lot bigger. Okay, you got capillary, which is pencil size. You've got pencil lead size, not the pencil. You've got the pencils, the discharge line, quarter inch capillary, and the suction line, which is usually 5/16 the evaporator and about 3/8 sometimes the suction line. So very small tubes. I mean, really small tubes. So oxyacetylene is way too hot, especially the capillary. It's just going to melt it. The flame temperature off the oxyacetylene is 4,700 degrees. The solder flow temperature is somewhere about 14 to 1,700 degrees, 15 to 16, somewhere in there. 4,700 degrees, that's like 17, that's 3,000 degrees hotter than you need. Are you kidding? Talk about overkill, but the problem is it's not overkill so much as it is it's damaging to the copper, to the system, because you're building carbon up. You actually change the composition of the copper with that much heat. It turns the copper black, and you can't clean it. It's not going to go away. It's because you've heat stained, because you changed the composition of the copper. It's heat stained. It's not going away. The inside of the tubing is built up carbon on the inside just like that from too much heat. So you're damaging the system too. And they're probably only evacuating it. You're not even flowing nitrogen. You're not going to even get the carbon out of there. So you're going to run the system with that carbon in there. You're going to see in a second what I'm talking about. And then the brazing of these tubes is atrocious, worse than atrocious. This guy has no idea what he's doing. And then you're going to see sealed system is called sealed system for a reason. Now, some people don't know this. Techs don't know. They just know it's called sealed system. It's called sealed system for a reason. The reason is because it is truly a sealed system. It is brazed. The joints are brazed, soldered together. There's no fittings. Commercial, true refrigerators, all the different brands of refrigerators like commercial, those are all mechanical fittings. Okay? You got fittings that bolted onto the tube, onto the suction line, onto the compressor. It's not soldered into the stubs on the compressor like domestic refrigerators are. They're soldered in brazed in because they are a truly sealed system. Unless it corrodes and it gets holes in the system from corrosion, the evaporator, or you blow a hole in the condenser with a gun or something. And I've seen that happen. The reason I use the example, like in air conditioners, where somebody will shoot an air conditioner window air, or even a condenser on a regular remote condenser on a regular AC unit. They just think it's funny. That's the only way you're going to get a hole in the system. Otherwise, it is a truly sealed system. And you have to restore it to a sealed system. And that means not using any kind of mechanical fittings or compression fittings or anything. You braze it. Okay? But what's happened recently here in the last several years is these mini split systems. These guys are doing refrigerator repairs, they're doing these mini splits and all this, and they're saying, oh, we got these new Rector Seal and Zoom Lock and all these different fittings now. We don't need to braze anymore. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You don't use those fittings on copper and aluminum. Not these small, but you've got these companies, Vulcan out there, with their fittings, saying that they don't leak and everything else. And I just worked on one that had Vulcan fittings on it. I put a video up about it. It was leaking like a sieve. Both joints with those fittings. Some guy put them on because he doesn't want to do the job right. He doesn't want to take a torch out and braze the joint. So I don't know if he doesn't know how or what, but I put another video up, 20 seconds it takes to braze a joint with the proper torch, air acetylene. Guys are saying, it doesn't get hot enough. Yes, it does. It's the perfect temperature. It's 14 to 1700 degrees. 2700 degrees is the flame temperature off of it. It's absolutely hot enough. It's the perfect temperature. Apparently you don't know how to adjust a regulator, or I don't know what your problem is. If you're saying it doesn't work. So this is a mess. The biggest problem with this is the guy is wanting to charge the guy another $1,000 or something. And I said, tell the guy to get out of there. I mean, there's no reason you're going to pay another $1,000. He needs to fix what he screwed up. But the problem was he melted the aluminum. He tried to braze the aluminum. He doesn't apparently know you can't do that. It's going to melt. Melting temperature of aluminum is very low. So he goes and melts the aluminum, the evaporator, and he just gets frustrated and just leaves it. He leaves everything hanging in the refrigerator. Doesn't even put the back panel on. There's no sense in doing that because he's destroyed his refrigerator. The thing actually worked when he came. It was just had a leak, a small leak. If you were to put Freon in it, it would have been cooling until it leaked out again. But now he has no refrigerator at all. So he contacts me, and he's in Colorado Springs. I'm in San Diego. And I just shook my head, and I was like, oh my God. I said, I don't know what to tell you. I told you to have the guy talk to me so I could tell him what he needed to do. So the second time when he was there, he actually did call me, and he was just negating everything I said, that I didn't know what I was talking about. You can't talk to somebody like that. It's a know-it-all. And that's what I tell customers. If they act like they're a know-it-all, oh, I've been doing this, I don't need it, and this attitude, don't have them. So if you got that attitude, guys, I'm spreading the word. Don't hire you. You got to be real with a customer. You're taking all their money and you're destroying their product if that's the kind of tech you are. You're not a tech if that's what you're doing. You're just out there scamming people. That's what you're doing. And there's too many of them now doing that. I had to fly out to this guy's house. He paid me to fly out there, paid my flight, paid me, and I charged him a very small amount of money. It was like $200 for the labor. And that's just ridiculous. But I didn't want to rip this guy off when he'd already been ripped off for $1,000. I wouldn't have been ripping him off. I would have been fairly paid for the work, but I just needed to get it done for him. He paid for the flight, paid for the motel. I flew out there, and you'll see what I ran into. It's unbelievable. And I had to go through and the strange thing about it was the customer kept saying, it looks like he cut that evaporator. I said, no, look at it. It's melted. He kept saying looks like it was cut. You look at the joint, you could see it's not cut. A cut would be a straight line. This thing is all melted. I don't know why the customer was saying that, but he kept saying it to me for forever. Anyways, he's not a tech, so he doesn't know what it's supposed to look like, I guess. So this is what I ran into. I've had 3 jobs like this with technicians in different cities that just have no idea what they're doing. I mean, I don't understand it. And then he tries to charge him another $1,000, and he's threatening him about paying this other $1,000. It's like, are you kidding? He needed to get the $1,000 he already paid him back. But he just wanted to leave it alone. He was one of those timid guys. I'd been at the company's door and suing him. So I flew out there, and this is what I ran into, and there's going to be a series of about maybe 3 or 4 videos, so I don't want to make one video too long. Or it might be one, I don't know. I got to see how long it's going to be. But it's a series of videos of each step. This is the pre-inspection when I got there. And then there's going to be the removal of the evaporator with all the crap that they destroyed, and the installation, and then final where it's complete and cooling. And it took me about 2.5 hours. So it was $200 for 2.5 hours work. It was a quick job, but I just had to clean up what these guys screwed up because they had no idea what they were doing. There's two of them, Chris and then his boss or whatever. So watch and see. Don't do this, please, to customers. This is why I'm getting irritated, because I'm in a different capacity, and I have been for many years because I'm a trainer as well. Appliance Repair TechSchool.com. I've been training techs for 17 years, coming in from all over the world, and it's not hard to learn the right way. The problem is there's too many states out there that don't require anything at all to be appliance repair tech. Some of them do. Oregon's really strict. You have to have a contractor's license, Oregon. I had one student come in from Oregon. What he had to go through to start business in Oregon was just ridiculous. That's overkill. Because we're not contract like AC, like construction contractor. You know, they got to go through classes and everything else he had to go through. It was ridiculous for the government, for the state. So, but there should be some regulation. It's insane what's going on, and these guys just disappear when they'll destroy it, leave. They got their money and they disappear, and they refuse. They won't answer calls. They refuse to go back and fix it. And this is happening a lot, and something's got to happen to stop this. Customers don't deserve this. They just don't. You're just ripping them off. It's like you're holding a gun to their head, taking the money because you're making everything worse. You're destroying the refrigerator. Unbelievable. So there's a lot of good companies out there. We don't need this kind of garbage going on, making us look bad. We just don't. Either do it right or get out of the business. Okay? Take a look and it'll roll right from here, but you'll see what I'm talking about. And look at the color of the copper. This is what oxyacetylene does to the copper. And it brittleizes it. When it gets so hot, it brittleizes it. When you turn it black, it's way too hot. But look how he puts these joints together. It's insane. He's like a 3-year-old that has no idea what he's doing. And then he went over to a hardware store to get these fittings to put the lines together. A hardware store. Everybody knows it does repair. You don't get anything what we do from a hardware store. You don't. So, here it is. Unbelievable. I think you'll shake your head too, if you're a real tech. Don't do this to customers, okay? This is the soldering of Chris. You see he didn't put it right into the stub of the compressor. He put a cup, made like a large tube and then smashed a large tube around it. Almost like a coupling. There's so much solder on there. It's unbelievable. And this suction line is on the process stuff. It's supposed to be on the suction line, which is in the back of the compressor. There's even a diagram inside the box that comes with the compressor. So apparently you can't read or even see what a picture looks like. It's in the A Superior Service. Chris did this work. And then in the back, he's got the process stuff in the back, which is actually the suction line. Same thing here. Look at this joint. Instead of going swaging it, he's got a coupling type thing on this high side line. This is like worse than amateur. Heat exchanger appears to be new. Here's the fittings that he melted the joint. He melted the aluminum.
Yeah, now that one, yeah, it looks like he just cut it off. Just cut it off.
No, that's melted. It's melted. And then he put compression fittings on here, which is a no-no. We put it down here also on the aluminum line. Because he tried to solder these aluminum lines. You can't do that because he got the line too hot when he installed it, and he melted the aluminum to copper weld. There's no pinholes in this like he was talking about. This is brand new. Nothing wrong with this evaporator. So, I mean, this is the mess that he left. Just left it hanging in here.
So you're doing that for training, right?
Unbelievable. Alright, so I'm going to cut out this mess here. Fitting that he put on, idiot. I'm gonna cut out this one. Cut this fitting out. Get rid of this whole evaporator and destroy it. Never use compression fittings in a sealed system. It's sealed because you sprayed all the lines together. You don't put compression fittings in. Good grief. I believe I couldn't get that off there. Here's the piece of garbage. Look at all the solder he's got on that joint. It's unbelievable. And then this fitting he's got in here. And he tried to solder this aluminum. Unbelievable. This end is actually melted. You can see the tube inside just melted. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to prepare the capillary tube and the section line, clean it up. Section line.
Now let's go across the bottom. That's the surface that the solder sticks to, and with the other copper tube. Where's the flux?
You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm looking for the flux. I can't find it.
What?
The flux.
Okay, I got everything you told me to.
The gas and flux is what was picked up with air gas. I have the gas, I don't have a flux.
Is it?
Yeah. Thank you.
So what's your prognosis?
Well, it's installed wrong. Hold on. When it's done properly, it's simple. It's like you're going to see in a second. It's just ridiculous. These guys are so untrained.
Well, don't forget your milk.
Yeah, I got to get this in here first.
Okay. You want some pliers?
No, because I don't want to damage the copper. I've got pliers that just don't want to damage the copper.
So I know he didn't do that. He didn't insert a piece of copper. He did, I think, if I remember, he just took the copper, the existing copper. Like, it looks like he cut a piece of copper off and inserted it.
What's going on here?
No, maybe. No. That's not going any further. Now let me show you something real quick. I have one question. See, when you stick your finger in one of the slots, it's real rough.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's always that way. So I said it's not going to bother it. It's not gonna affect it. It's not vibrating, it's not moving anywhere. It's not moving anywhere. If it's back and forth vibrating, you would have an issue, but there's no movement. If they're in there so tight, there's no movement. Not a concern. And you sit in there for 30 years like yours did.
Yeah, I know.
No issues.
I thought maybe you had to do it.
Okay.
Guys, you're repairing your fridge. Yeah, you made it. Yeah, and so far so good. So I gotta get back to the airport by 6:30.
Okay. So this capillary goes in where it's supposed to go. Capillary. And then this is going to join to this tube here, just like it's supposed to.
Yeah, well, be interesting. Remember I placed that guy at ACP, was director of engineering, about 6 years ago.
Some flex on here.
Yeah, Mike Grohl. And signed up because his wife was from Sea
And where's the
Yeah, he was that.
control?
Well, he now works.
Over to the left.
About a year ago. So probably right after Mike. Yeah, exactly. And, he works for Bill. And Corey Cole knows him really well. So I called Corey and I said, I left him a message.
Okay. You gotta swage this. The swaging tool.
So I said, Rusty, I told Corey, I said, call Mike and ask him about Rusty, because he was working at the train. So and listen, it can either be, yeah, he's a great guy, or no, I still wait for him. Now, Rusty's a great guy, he's a little white, so, I had him, do a switcheroo on me a couple times, some variables. Yeah, yeah, so, I
Just like they do in banks, they put copper roofs on banks.
Yeah,
Okay, this is properly installed. You got your capillary coming in, and then your suction line going down. Two simple solder joints right there and there. That's it. You can see it frosting already.
Now what,
The white frosting on the tape.
see where it dead ends over there, Mike?
Alright, so fully charged. 12 pounds, 135.
Is that about right?
Yeah, perfect. Frosted all the way down.
No leaks?
Nope. I just take one leak. All the fittings.
So you can see how straightforward that is, but what a mess it was. The guy just really didn't know what he was doing at all. He's acting like a plumber, and you don't do that with sealed systems. You braze the joints. You can see how lightly frosted it is, and that's perfect frost pattern. They just lightly frost these tube evaporators. Air flows through them, and that's it. It's not like the finned evaporators. The pressures are different on different models, but this particular one, this is one of the longest and biggest tube evaporators. It's a little bit higher. I like to run them up at about 12 pounds, 8 to 12 pounds on the low side. But I like to run them up around 10 to 12. My gauges were still on there, so when I don't use the my quick disconnect leaks, so I'm not using that. So I got to unscrew it real quick off the high side, and of course you're going to lose a little bit. So I always take it all the way up to the max, about 12 pounds, because I know I'm gonna lose a little bit of freon when I pull that off. I got to get another quick disconnect, but and it was really warm in that room. It was the middle of summer, it was July. So the ambient temperature's up, and so the high side was 125, 135, no problem. You just don't want to get up to 175, 200 or anything like that. Then you know you got an issue. But usually they'll run on the high side about 90 to maybe 110, 120. So when I take the high side line off the dryer, where there's a valve on there, when you put a new dryer on that has a valve on it, like I said, I lose a little bit of freon, so I compensate for that before I pull it off and take it all the way up to the max. No problems after this. I flew back home. I just barely made the plane. There was some, it's funny because you kind of, I said in the intro that it was about 2.5 hours. The installation of the evaporator was about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, but it was everything else around it, you know, taking everything apart and all that, and finding the, you know, like I could, one point he picked up because I couldn't fly over any liquids or anything like that on the plane. So I could have his hard tools. And so I had to have the acetylene picked up at air gas. He had to pick it up and have it there when I was there, because I flew in and I was going to be there a few hours and I was flying right back out. So I had to get this thing in and out and get back to the airport. And you're supposed to check in early. Well, that didn't happen. I was basically running to the plane. I was the last person on the plane. But it was about 2.5 hours, the whole turnaround from the time that we got there to leaving. And that was, undoing the tools, everything. So basically the installation, ripping the evaporator out, you saw that was just the imp cutting off the line. And the best way to take, don't try to cut these capillaries, guys. I don't know if some guys, if you're not experienced, you're not sure how to cut the evaporator, you don't cut it. You could score it with the corner of a flat file, and then just bend it back and forth, and it snaps off, and that leaves a cleaner end on it. It doesn't flatten the end where the hole is. It leaves the hole round. It just bend it back and forth, and it'll snap off. And that's the best way, and then it's not all flattened and out of shape at the end, and it'll go back into the dryer opening. So that's what you saw at the beginning. Is I just bent it back. I didn't even score it. If you bend it just right, you can just gently start to bend it, and then bend it a little bit more, because every time you bend it, it fatigues the metal. And then finally it'll. So don't bend it as far the first couple times you do it. Just kind of get it fatigued a little bit, and then bend it farther and farther, and it snaps off. My imp gave me a little trouble. First time in 40 plus years. I've got several imps, but cutters, but I only took very few tools with me. First, I didn't want that toolbox to be too heavy, and I had to check it into baggage. And that way had to be down, or I had to pay for it. So very, very few tools. I couldn't hardly see what I was doing. He finally got a drop light for me. I couldn't take all this stuff I normally have. But the imp, the screw came out, the cutter wheel screw that holds the cutter wheel in, that you take out to replace the cutter wheel, it fell out. And when I was taking off the suction line tube, I kept rotating and wasn't doing anything. The wheel wasn't turning because the screw was partially halfway out. And I didn't realize that. I was just trying to, it didn't look like I was racing to get it done, but I was, because I had a flight to get it. So I was just systematically making sure I was moving as quick as I could without looking like it, because I don't like to look like that to the customer. You can move fast, but don't be crazy in front of a customer. They just think you're going to make a mistake or something if you're like that. And plus they get all worked up. So you just move with authority, what I call. And so I had to find the screws on the floor. I mean, it was the flux that he got was garbage flux. It didn't want to clean it did not want to work. So I had a little bit of tough time with getting the solder to flow properly. Just wasn't ideal because you don't have your normal equipment that you have. But like I said, it was about 45 minutes to get the evaporator in, and it took 5 minutes to get the evaporator out. Snapping that off. But what a mess this guy did. Do not do this, please. This is a sealed system. Domestic refrigerators. Braze the joints. Okay? And you saw the tubing. It was black. And you saw those compressed pieces of metal that he compressed to make it like a coupling. That's insane. What happens is that fills up with solder inside there. And very good chance you're going to plug it up and seal it shut. Where you're going to so much solder in there. You saw how much solder he had on there. It was crazy. But he got it so hot, it's right off the stub of the compressor. The compressor body was actually absorbing the heat. And it takes it away from, because it was so close. It was just within, it was really close. And the compressor body's absorbing all the heat. You can't hardly get the joint hot enough to flow the solder because the compressor's sucking up all the heat. The guy didn't know what he's doing. I mean, this was a mess. But I cleaned it up and got out of there, and it cost him a flight and I said hotel room in the intro. And that was another location I had to go to, Ohio and Aspen, Colorado. I had to go clean up after same thing, just disasters, and they couldn't find another service company in their area. And I understand, guys, that you don't want to follow up after somebody else, but it's not a big deal. It's not. What you do is return the appliance back to its normal condition. So if you need to remove everything out that they did, do that and start over. It's not a big deal. The guys are always like, no, somebody else worked on it. I'm not touching it. Clean it up for them. Be the hero. If you know what you're doing, you're just returning it back to normal condition. You know how it's supposed to be, hopefully, when it's brand new and when it's operational. So if something's restricted or whatever, just return it back to normal. Fix these things for these people. This is why I've always followed up on other companies, and because I care about the customer. Customers got to pay the price here. So be the hero for them, and be the guy that knows what he's doing. And it's really not that difficult. Return it back to the normal condition. That's all you got to do. It's not like it's going to be a big ordeal. They couldn't fix it because they don't know what they're doing. If you know what you're doing, help them out, okay? But please, when I get these customers that want to restore these units, please contact me. And I've got 2 directories for these restorations, or for just any Sub-Zero referrals. And I'm not asking for anything from you. I just want to know that when a customer calls me from a certain state and city area, that they ask me all the time, do you know of a service company? And I only know of very few. If you want referrals, I'm going to be supplying the parts to them. They're going to be factory parts. You're not going to have anything to do with the parts, except in installing them. And you're going to be charging the labor. So all you're doing is just charging the labor and doing the job. And do the job right. And then they don't have a problem. But the factory parts, I warranty the parts. And then I just want to talk to you before you do the job. And just make sure that if there's any questions, I can help you out. Okay? Or give you some tips or whatever if you need. Even if you're an HVAC guy, definitely talk to me. Or a commercial guy, definitely talk to me. Because there's a few differences, okay? I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm not going to act like you don't know anything. I'm not going to act like I know everything. I don't. Just like I said, there's faux pas in everybody's service day. I had difficulties with my imp. Stuff happens. Even after 40 years. I've never had an imp fall apart. The screw got loose and I was trying to cut the tubing and it wouldn't cut. And I kept going round. I cut part of that out because it was like it took forever. So this is what we shouldn't have to deal with. And I shouldn't have to be flying, customers shouldn't have to be paying my airfare to fly out there because there's nobody in their area, another guy, to come out. And that's what happens in these cases. They contact other companies, and no, we won't touch it because somebody else has worked on it. It's not a big deal. Go in there and fix it. Just return it back to normal. I didn't have to replace that evaporator, but because I was flying out there, I took a new one with me. And in that case, I'm just going to take it out. But what I could have done is cut off where he melted it and re-brazed it because I'm the one that manufactures those. And I can reattach, re-weld, I'm going to call it weld, low temperature weld, that aluminum, the copper inlet back into the aluminum. I could have done that right there and there. It takes about 3 minutes, literally 3 minutes. So I could have fixed that one because there was nothing wrong with the tubing. You saw what they had fittings on that leak, and he's tried to braze with a acetylene torch the aluminum back into the aluminum. You can't do that. He melted the aluminum. You can't do that. It's too hot. Way too hot. So he just caused a disaster. The whole thing was a disaster. That's why he finally gave up. Second time he came out, that's what he did. Took it back, tried to fix everything, and then he wanted to charge him another $1,000 for his time. So it would have been, he already paid $960. And he refused to pay it because he's not fixing it. And the guy was threatening him. I mean, threatening him. So don't do that to customers. Don't threaten them. If you leave a mess like that, are you kidding? You're not going to get paid for You're not going to get paid for your time. What did you do? You screwed up his refrigerator. Come on, guys, don't do this. And if you do have a difficult time, just be straightforward, down to earth. And if you need help, contact me. I'll get on Zoom and I'll walk you through it right there on the job. I've done it many times. Okay? I'll walk you through. And there's another video on YouTube I just put up, or I'm going to be putting up, where I'm talking to a tech. And he's in there. He had a lot of problems with this refrigerator. I'm going to be putting it up probably tomorrow. And the customer, I actually interacted with the customer that was there because I wanted to know what the original situation was because they said it was freezing also. And so I talked to them and asked their input because I want to know the whole story. This is what you have to do as a tech. You got to get the whole story. Don't just believe what the tech tells you if there's a tech there and you're talking to a tech. Don't believe it. Get the whole story. Sometimes a customer, I had one lady said, she was in an exclusive area, money area that you call it, guys call it. And she's like, why are you asking me so many questions? You're the professional. You should know what's going on. And I said, I have to ask you questions. And I didn't back off at that point and get intimidated. There's no reason to. Because I said, I need to ask you questions because I didn't see it fail. I don't know what's going on with it because I don't live here. So I just need to ask you a few questions. I apologize, taking your time. She probably had to get her nails done or something. I don't know. Maybe there was something pressing. So she had, and I'm not making slight of that, she had something to do probably. But I need to ask the questions to be able to get to, the problem is, techs, there can be more than one thing cropping up that's going wrong with an appliance. If you don't ask specifically, you could end up fixing a million different things. Okay? It's not that other thing's failed now, but it's possibly, it's showing signs of whatever, and it could be on its way out. If it's that close, you want to tell the customer anyways. But there can be other things that, like, a washer that's legs are a little bit wobbly. That doesn't affect the operation, but it can start to shake really bad down the road if it gets worse. I mean, there's different things that can be kind of wrong. So get to the bottom line so you're not replacing something that's not the problem that they're complaining about. And now you just charge them for something that wasn't even what they complained about. She said, that's my point. Ask them for their input. Okay? Don't guess. And don't go by what the call taker takes and gives you. Verify that. So this is a mess. I barely made my flight back out. And I only got $200 labor on it. I didn't make anything on this thing. I lost money because I could have been doing other work if I was back home. But it was taking care of my customer that I sold the evaporator to. Wasn't my fault, wasn't my problem. They didn't have the guy talk to me to start with, to vet him. And that's what I do with these. I vet you guys. If you want to do the job, I'm just going to talk to you in normal terms. And if it sounds like you have no idea what you're doing, I'm just going to ask you, have you done this before? Do you think you can do it? And if, I've been doing this 20 years. If you give me that attitude, I'm just going to tell the customer, get somebody else. Because somebody that acts like that, that's not an answer. It's not. It's not an answer. It's arrogance. And those are the guys that usually are a problem. You don't know what you're doing, but you think you do. And if you can't just talk in normal terms down to earth, tech to tech, and be honest, then I'm just going to tell them to get somebody else. Okay? I'm too old for that garbage. That doesn't work with me. I've heard that too many times, and those kind of guys are just disasters. You try that attitude with the customer, and that's what you think works with the customer. A lot of times it doesn't. They don't tell you that. They just act all nice. But when they don't call you back to do it, that's why. Because your attitude. They can read through that garbage. They're older too. They've heard that crap before, and that's what it is crap. So just be real. I would like to get techs and service companies in different areas that are down to earth, real technicians that want to make, have referrals sent their way. Nothing from me for nothing. I don't want anything for the referral. I just want you to take care of the customer that wants to get the refrigerator or freezer fixed, and I'm going to be supplying the parts, and then you're going to do the repair, and we'll talk before the repair gets done. That's it. And you're going to make probably somewhere between $1,200 and $2,000, $1,200 and $2,000 per unit, because that's pretty much what is the going rate around the United States for doing the job. It's a big job. So customers, it's a big job if you're listening. And that's what it is. So don't try to negotiate that. If you want somebody, you already heard that it's hard to get technicians to do this. If you want to not spend $18,000 plus remodeling your cabinets, that's what it is. It's going to be a couple of thousand, $2,000 or $3,000 probably, something like that, per unit to repair them. Or $18,000 plus the remodeling per unit. So it's $36,000 to $40,000 to $50,000, or $3,000 a unit, possibly. $6,000 or $50,000. So don't quabble over the price of labor. The guy has a right to make a good living. He's experienced. He's got all the tools. They're expensive tools. He's been trained. He knows what he's doing. He's worth something. Okay? And he's going to save you a massive amount of money. And from remodeling, too, because the units aren't the same size. Okay? So I hope, Tex, you kind of enjoyed that. It'd be nice to be able to narrate. I could, but I don't want to interrupt during it. But it doesn't need to be like this. Okay? And so if you are struggling as a tech and you're just honest about it, and you can talk in real terms, contact me. I'll help you out. I will. You don't have to take my course, Appliance Repair Tech School. It's appliancerepairtechschool.com. I've had that going for 17 years. You don't have to do that. I'll walk through it. There's going to be a fee because I can't be working free all the time. I can't do service anymore because of my brain bleed. So I'd like to help out if you are down to earth and want to help. I'll help you. I'll even do it on Zoom with you right there in home. Or we can talk when you go out to your truck. I was saying that earlier. I had him go out to his truck when I talked to him. I will always be discreet, okay? I will never talk in front of a customer. Even if we're talking on your phone, FaceTime, I will never say anything regarding what you may have done, where you screwed up or whatever. I'll never say that in front of the customer. Never. It's just not appropriate. That's talk between two techs. You didn't do it on purpose, but you're going to correct it. And this is a learning curve for you. And you won't repeat it again. Everybody has problems that, they got to learn from. And that's how you learn. But I won't do it. I won't bring it up in front of the customer. So this was a mess. This company, I mentioned the name in the I'm not going to, I don't remember the exact name, but it's Colorado Springs. And I think it was Mike and Chris, but Chris was the one that did the horrible job, but his boss was the one telling him how to do everything. So his boss told him to go over and get those fittings. So neither one of them know what they're doing. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know if you could say enjoy it, but I hope you got something out of it. Don't do that, please. All right. So that's it. please take a look at my other ones, and please do consider subscribing. Just hit the subscribe button. I've had a few people ask me, I didn't want to do that because I don't want to pay anything. You're not paying anything. It's just like a like button. That's all it is. Okay? I don't know why they named it subscribe. You just subscribe to view your videos. But you're not paying anything. You're not subscribing. You're not on a list. You're not anything. It's just a like button. So please hit the subscribe button if you would, and show me. I'm trying to get monetized, and I'm not even close. I got to replace my income I lost from the brain bleed from this landlord that caused this. My whole career's gone, so I got to trying to reinvent myself here, 61 years old. I know the products. I know the job. I would love to help you out if you need help. Okay. Same thing with customers. If you have questions, anything, contact me. I've always got time to talk to you, and no rush when we're on the phone. No, never. I spend all kinds of time with techs and customers talking. I'm talking hours sometimes, whatever it takes. Thank you for watching, and watch my other videos. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, let me know. Okay? All right, take care. Thank you.